Welcome back to your weekly installment of the Reserve List Top 10 Sales. These are the hottest selling cards on the Reserve List from January 8th to the 13th of 2024. We have a lot to cover in today's video. Some crazy cards have made the list, and maybe a few speculators are starting to stop by. Let's take a look at what we're talking about today. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for stopping by the channel today as we start our list off at number 10 with Tiga, and that is Revised Edition. Now this card has an average price of $339.36, but the total sales volume of 40 sales equals out to $13,574.40. Now, when we're talking about Tiga, I want to mention to you guys, although it's on the list again for like 3 weeks in a row, the overall uptick in the reserve list sales of dual lands is really something players are starting to notice, because some of these dual lands that have been, backtracking in price are now starting to gain a little bit of momentum. Not FOMO level stuff, nothing crazy like that, but we are seeing an uptick of $2-3 week over week on a few of these cards, which means an average increase of maybe $10 or $15 a month. It's just something to keep your eye out in case you're chasing one of these cards down for yourself. Now let's take a look at the number 9 card. And that's right guys, you're not wrong. It's Badlands Revised Edition with an average price of $395.54 to take the number 9 spot with 45 sales this week, or $16,174.30. Now the sales of these dual lands so far does not seem fueled by speculation. These cards seem to have organic growth and demand. Apologies on the word salad. Now, when we're looking at this card and looking at the overall sales volumes of most of the dual lands, they are going up, yes, but it's not somebody buying 5, 6, or 7 copies of a dual land. It's one copy here, one copy there, local LGS, online, eBay, TCG Player, Card Market, Card Kingdom. It's all over the place, which is good. It's natural. It's what players like to see, which means there's no major spike in price, but there is only so many in the supply. So yeah, it's going to run out sooner or later. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. I didn't expect to see this here this week, but this is Digy Do from Homelands. Now, of course, this card is an epic card. It's very inexpensive, and it's been as high as like almost $60 US. But this card is a 1 casting cost artifact that says, take a Minotaur from your hand and put it directly into play as though it were just summoned, okay? And the fact this just costs a couple of mana to use means in a Minotaur deck, or in future Minotaur decks when Tribals gets around to dealing with Minotaurs, we are going to see this card shoot up. So I guess players are taking advantage of the low price point. $418 to get 47 copies seems minuscule, and that's if they were all near mint. But I'll tell you right now, everything from heavily played, moderate played, light played, and near mint, they're all selling. So this card right now, and these are the ones I could track. There were some sales that were supposed to come through. I didn't get the info, but either way, this card makes the number 8 slot this week. So let's drop down and take a look at number 7. Now this card, again, out of nowhere from Weatherlight, this is Heatstroke. This is a 1 red, 2 generic enchantment, and it says, at the end of each combat, destroy all creatures that blocked or were blocked this turn. Kind of an insane card, right, for how cheap it is to get out. 53 sales this week, but only $211.47. It has an average price of $3.99. It doesn't cost a lot to get this card. And old school enchantments like this were just brutal. Can you imagine swinging your sword at somebody, but you're so exhausted from the sun that you die of a heart attack or heat stroke? It's kind of crazy. Get it? Heat stroke? Yeah, you guys got that. It's so insane to think about. So this card right now, and it did have an uptick in sales during the boom and bust of the reserve list sales in 2021, 2022. It's never gone back up, but I have seen this played the odd time in a few anti-creature deck type things. So, keep it in mind if it's a card you're looking for. It's still very inexpensive, lots of copies around, and this one does seem fueled by speculation. So we'll just move on now and take a look at the number 6 card this week. Kind of interesting as well, because we have Deranged Hermit coming around, and ever since the announcement of Bloomburrow, this card has really picked up a little bit of traction. Just like Modern Horizons 2, we had all the new squirrels. This card definitely deserves a little bit of a, hey, what's going on over there? Because this card used to be $160. Now you can get this thing for $34. You can pick them up in Canada for like 30 bucks. 30 bucks. Moderately played, heavily played ones are in the $20 range. If you need to get this card, you don't have to spend a big amount of money. Yes, if you want to go for the DCI promo, you're going to spend some money. You want an original foil copy? Yeah, because it's a first time foil. Those are expensive. I get it. But in the case of this, just buying it, for the squirrels, it makes perfect sense. It's less than 50 bucks. I mean, I would, yeah, definitely get something. Okay, this was interesting. This is Lotus Fail from Weatherlight. Okay, when I took a look at the sales on this, and I had a few numbers coming in, 62 sales this week, or a total sales volume of $1,742. Not a big, massive dollar amount, but at only $28.11, and it's still losing value. The fact this thing taps for 3 mana, and yes, you got to sacrifice 2 untapped lands, that seems like a small price to pay, though, especially if you have ways of going back and getting those lands. Things like the what is it? The bauble, or remember the bauble? What's the bauble called again, guys? This is where you get a brain fart and you can't remember the name of the card you're trying to remember, but it's when you put 3 basic lands on top of somebody's library and then draw a card. Anyway, that thing's a very Lodestone Bauble. There you go. See, I remembered. I don't need your help at home. I know what I'm talking about here. The Lodestone Bauble, things like that used to connect with these cards. It's still a couple of card combo, but it can work for you depending on how you're building your deck. Now, Savannah comes in here to the number 4 position this week, revised, okay? $328. Again, a card that's gained like a couple of bucks every week now. 68 sales, or a total sales volume of $22,330. And again, that's if it was all near mint. And just like the other cards we're talking about, people who are buying these cards, this one here again doesn't seem, although there was a few play sets bought, this one here doesn't seem like it's fueled by speculators. Again, it seems like organic growth, no word salad. It seems like it knows that people want to buy 1 or 2 copies, going for commander decks, but they're also buying heavily played, lightly played. I mean, they're even buying collector edition. Remember, collector edition have lost a lot of value. And although most people consider them a proxy card, they still were made by Wizards of the Coast, so some players value them as something because of the low print run. I get where they're going with it, but either way, a lot of sales volume on a lot of these dual lands. Keep it in mind. I'm giving the forewarning now just because the dollar amounts are rising. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the number 3 card. And yes, it is Soldevi Excavations coming back, because on my live stream for the 20K party, I, of course, did buy, 17 copies I bought? I think I ended up buying 21 copies in total because I had a few leftover dollars from what Mrs. Mox gave me. So I bought a whole bunch of copies. Other people kind of bought copies as well. This thing used to be as high as 45 bucks when it had its buyouts. And now it's $12.88. It's so dirt cheap to get your hands on this card. It seems like an insane price, but players still use it. It has a scrying ability. It does have uses inside decks, and it's not really a real tempo draw off. Again, if you can get the land back, or if the fact you expect it to get destroyed at some point and you can bring that card back. Kind of crazy stuff that can go on. I like this card. Really, I always have. Now, we're dropping down to number 2. This is Debt of Loyalty. For a while, I thought this card was going to come in at number 1. It says regenerate target creature, gain control of that creature. So, some opponent creature is dying, and then, of course, you zip this thing out, take control of it, keep it alive, and now it's yours, okay? Steal their Shieldred. Have a lot of fun with their whatever card you decide to take. A lot of big rampaging dinosaurs. Either way, 80 sales this week, but a total sales volume of only $606. So for a while, I thought this was number 1, but there's a card that overtook it. And the card that overtook it blew my mind because I did not expect this card to have the volume of sales it did. And most of the copies that sold for the number 1 card were actually moderately played or better. So, I mean, Dead Loyalty, it's great. Fun card. I've used it a couple times in some decks. But when you see the number 1 card today, you're going to know. You're going to know why it's here. Okay? Let's take a look at the number 1 card of the week. And this is MOX Diamond from Stronghold. That's right, guys. This is the highest selling card this week with an average price of $604.48. It had 85 sales, $51,338. That's 85 copies. When you compare it to the number 1 card from our regular top 10, which was over $100,000, right? I think it was, 100,000 plus. But it had 7,000 sales. This only took 85 sales to meet half of the same mark. That's insane to know that so many people wanted to buy this card. They either had deals, whatever, but they were buying it, okay? And it was being bought across all kinds of platforms. It had Facebook group sales, people buying 4 copies. It was kind of crazy to see the sheer volume that we're seeing go into reserve list cards right now. I'm not going to say it's like a new buyout, a new session of glory coming our way, but players, they understand what they're after. And things like Ravnica Remastered aren't really scratching that itch when it comes to playability and value. Players want something unique. They want something they can value, but something that actually serves a purpose inside the decks they're building with. They want a card that they can show people and say, look at this amazing piece of Magic history. Look how greatly utilized the card still is. And the fact I own a copy, a piece of Magic history. One of the most powerful cards ever created in the game. That's how players feel when they get their dual lands, when they get their Power 9 card for the very first time, even if it's collector edition. When players value what they're buying, they like to show it off. In the case of something like MOX Diamond, it's an expensive card. It's still come down massively in price over the last couple of years, but you can see that at that price point, players are taking a certain shine to what that card can do for them, and they are valuing it in an entirely different way that Wizards of the Coast only wishes they could tap into. Either way, I want to thank you all for stopping by the channel today. And if you enjoyed today's content, if you had a good time hanging out with the Mox Man, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notification bells because new videos come out every single day. Thanks again for stopping by. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have supporting the channel each and every day. Because of the amazing patrons we have here supporting, we're allowed to make daily uploaded content for everyone on YouTube to enjoy. So thanks again guys for being part of the team. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Glad you guys made it to the end. Okay, reserve list sales. Now I had a whole bunch of questions from people. You're here at the Ramble Jamble, you made it to the end. And I don't cover as many specific reserve list videos like I used to. A lot of it I can cover in the top 10 unless something major happens and the market shifts where I have to cover a lot more things going on. But there is an uptick in sales that shouldn't be denied. It doesn't matter if it's a speculator fueling it. It doesn't matter if it's somebody who just wants to get as many copies of some lowly reserve list card. There's a lot of interest, and it's because of the lack, in my opinion, the lack of attention to detail that Wizards of the Coast has been giving their player base. A lot of the players in Magic now are getting older. A lot of us have bigger pocketbooks to work with, and we want something we can truly cherish. And I think this is where Wizards of the Coast hopes to go with serialized cards, hopes to find that value in cards they can reprint, but what they've got to do is something entirely different. They're not there yet, but they need to get to that point where they either expand the reserve list or they drop things down a little bit and say, you know what? Maybe we just find a cool card, we make a good idea of a card, and we just don't reprint it for 10 years. They need to go this route, at least on some cards, to make that collectability, to make that cool factor kind of come back. You know, I think it's missing because these sales really show me, people like me who love Soldevi Excavations, I'm just going to keep buying them because I love them, I don't care. How many can I get in my lifetime? It's kind of like that, ooh, what can happen, right? Like a Mox Amber thing. But for somebody buying a dual land, they want it for their first commander deck. They're trying to build a vintage legacy. Maybe they have friends who've got a bigger pocketbook and they're finally stepping in because why buy $300 boxes of play boosters, right? Canadian, when you can go get your first Savannah. Kind of a crazy thing that we're stepping into. But either way, it's just me jabbering on. Thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for being here, guys. I will see you on the live stream tonight. We're going to rock this out, okay? Have a great day. Don't forget, guys, thumbs up, man. Thumbs up the videos. Leave some comments. Say hi. It's okay. Don't be shy. Have a good time, man. I need a coffee.